The Lament Configuration. It fits in the palm, black lacquer, gilt lines like mapped nerves. Turn it and the air seems to thicken as if the room were inhaling. It clicks not like metal but like teeth remembering their place. Legend names an artisan, Le Marchand, who built beauty that behaves like a trap. A puzzle box, yes, but the puzzle is you. The box studies the hands that study it. It listens for intent, for the precise blend of curiosity, hunger, and refusal to stop. Solve it and nothing opens, angles reassign. Corners migrate. The room unfolds into corridors that were never in your house. Cold rides in on invisible chains. The Cenobites arrive as if summoned by coordinates you set without meaning to. They don't ask what you fear. They ask what you want, and then they take that answer seriously. What the box truly does is tune desire to a signal Leviathan can read. Pain, pleasure, memory, reduced, recombined, made continuous. The geometry is the theology. The danger isn't that it punishes the wicked, it curates the willing. Every turn is consent written brass. Every configuration is a confession. And when you're finished, you won't be. The box keeps the part of you that kept turning. The Behelit, an egg of dark flesh, smooth as riverstone, until a face swims to the surface. Lips, eyes, and nose slide into place where they weren't a moment before. It blinks. It weeps. It's warm. They say the Behelit finds its owner, not the other way around. It sleeps until crisis. Blood, despair, the kind of wish that scrapes bone. Then it wakes and aligns, a living key that calls the god hand across a rip, in whatever passes for fate. When it answers, the world goes thin. Sound drops out. The sky folds like wet silk, and the air smells like copper. You don't bargain, you are measured. The price is simple and obscene. Offer up what you love most and be remade. Refuse, and the moment keeps asking until the asking breaks you. What the Behelit offers isn't power. It offers inevitability. It edits your life with a single perfect cut, removing mercy, leaving purpose. The brand it leaves is not a scar. It is an address, broadcast forever. Its terror is practical. It grants the future you were already hungry enough to choose, and makes sure you can never pretend you weren't. The wish comes true. Someone pays. Usually not just once. De Vermis Mysteriis. The binding is plain, the Latin cramped, the margins greasy with centuries of fingers. It reads like a manual, not a myth. Tables of hours, lunar notes, geometries to lay out with chalk and ash. The author it names is Ludwig Prynne, a 16th century sorcerer said to have learned his craft in the Levant and died under the Inquisition. The text survived him. Books like this always do. Prynne does not sermonize. He specifies charcoal circles of precise radius. Metals by purity, not color. Certain names spoken on a breath held to the edge of pain. The procedures promise necromancy, communion with things that travel between stars, and the kind of seeing that is less a vision than a wound. In more than one account, a single invocation from these pages draws a star vampire, invisible until it feeds, by nothing more romantic than correct pronunciation. What makes the book dangerous is its tone, indifferent, professional. It treats the abyss as a workplace. Readers begin as skeptics and end as technicians, repeating what works. Witnesses find rooms scored with spirals, windows burst inward as if the night exhaled. The horror isn't that Prynne lies, it's that he never does. The cosmos responds to method. You prove it once and spend the rest of your life trying not to prove it again. Unaussprechlichen Kulten. Blackboards, iron clasps, a smell like damp cellars. The title scowls in Gothic type. Unaussprechlichen Kulten. Collectors call it the Black Book. Its author, Friedrich von Junst, a 19th century German antiquarian, did not live long after finishing it. They found him in his study with the doors locked and his notes scattered like leaves after a storm. This isn't a spell book, it's a survey. Junst maps clandestine fraternities from Carpathian caverns to island shrines, dutifully recording rites that older scholars dismissed as folklore. Names recur, symbols recur, locations cross-reference across continents, as if one mind had written humanity from the shadows. An early English translation retitled, Nameless Cults, circulates in cut, error-ridden form. Baudelarized where it should warn, confident where it should tremble. Reading it doesn't hurl you into madness. It organizes you. It gives you routes beneath cities, calendars for nocturnal convocations, the etiquette of contact. You start with curiosity and end with a schedule. Librarians restrict it because they should. The danger is not what it claims, but what it connects. Isolated superstitions become a network. A symbol on a church lintel matches one on a jungle stele. A name you heard in a dream appears in print. The Black Book doesn't pray, it documents. And once you see the pattern, it's very hard to pretend the pattern doesn't see you back. The Idol of Bokrug, green, slick with age, and carved in a style that feels amphibian rather than human. The Idol of Bokrug is tied to the oldest story of the land of Manar. The people of Sarnath slew the strange inhabitants of Ib and seized their stone god, Bokrug, the water lizard. They set the idol in a proud temple and celebrated their victory for 1,000 years. On the festival night of that millennial anniversary, the idol vanished. By dawn, Sarnath was gone too, swallowed without battle, its palaces reduced to slime-wet stones and the lake lapping where streets had been. That is the record. The lesson survives in whispers. Do not display what belongs to the depth. The idol is less a trophy than a warrant, a claim that binds a city to water and to a patience far older than law. Wherever fragments surface in merchant hoards in a shrine dredged from reeds, there follows the same sequence: dreams of drowned processions, fish-pale lights beneath bridges, water levels rising without rain. This is not piety, it's physics for a different world. Possess the image and you inherit the debt. Lakes remember, rivers keep ledgers, and Bokrug does not forget what was taken from Ib. The true scroll of Tiyog, brittle hide, soot-dark ink, an odor like old temples after rain. The true scroll of Tiyog is not a charm to wound a god. It is a countermeasure, a precise litany meant to let a mortal approach Ghatanothoa without becoming stone outside and screaming thought within. The tale is older than any map. On the drowned continent of Mu, the priest Tiyog prepared to confront the idol with this very text. Enemies swapped his scroll for a forgery. He walked in bravely and was preserved forever. Flesh petrified, brain alive, aware, unable to die. That is why the adjective matters. True or nothing. The scroll's value lies in exactness, syllables held to a measured breath, sigils traced at angles that do not occur in honest architecture. One deviation and the protection fails all at once. Later ages whisper that the authentic roll was hidden away, that copies circulate like traps, that curators cannot tell salvation from bait. Its terror is technical. It promises safety, but only at perfect fidelity. No stumbles, no substitutions, no mercy. Most artifacts tempt you to open a door. This one tempts you to look at what should not be seen. If you are wrong by a hair, you will look forever, thinking clearly inside a mask that never crumbles. The brain cylinders of the Migo, polished metal, seamless seams, a threaded cap that turns too smoothly. Inside, a nutrient medium and a human brain, alive. The Migo, fungoid miners from beyond, fond of the dark between worlds, prefer to travel light. Bodies are fragile, cumbersome in vacuum. Brains are portable. They remove them delicately, seat them in cylinders, and connect them to apparatus that supplies voice and senses. Lenses for sight, diaphragms for speech, conductive pads that translate nerve fire into something that can be recorded and replayed. In Vermont a century ago, this was not theory. A gentleman named Akeley corresponded with them and paid for the privilege of demonstration. The machine spoke, flat, careful syllables issuing from a grill, and named star clusters no atlas carried. They promised wonders, a tour of Yugoth, libraries etched on crystal, a return to Earth in a better body later. The promises were tidy. The room smelled of chemicals and damp stone. This is not immortality, it is archiving. In a cylinder you can't run, hold, taste, or refuse. Time stretches because nothing interrupts it. You become luggage that thinks. To the Migo, that is efficient. To the donor, it is a sentence. They say they can put you back. Perhaps they can. The more troubling point is that once removed, you are easy to keep. The Yithian mind transfer apparatus. Vast halls under a red, alien sky. Shelves like cliffs. Consoles studded with crystals that hum when no one touches them. The great race of Yith did not travel by ship. They traveled by mind, projecting across ages to exchange consciousness with whatever intelligent beings lived then. The apparatus, banks of lenses, coils, and resonant stones, wasn't the engine so much as the instrument, tuning the transfer and recording what the visitor learned. In 1908, Professor Nathaniel Wingate Peaslee went blank in a Boston lecture and woke years later with dreams of Nacodus, the Yithian city of libraries. His displaced mind had walked in a cone-shaped body and written on imperishable records while a Yithian wore his face. The process is precise and reversible, usually. When the tenure ends, minds are swapped back, and the guest remembers in shards, bas-reliefs, star maps, the smell of dust older than oceans. The Yithians planned even for extinction, arranging a future migration into sturdier hosts when the flying polyps returned. Its terror isn't cruelty, it's competence. You are interesting, so you are borrowed. Your life becomes a field note in a project spanning millions of years. Consent is irrelevant, damage incidental, curiosity mandatory. If you recall anything, it is only because a librarian in a different epoch filed you under valuable.
Subscribe for more interesting stuff. Tell us your experience in the comments.